Even worse, economic pain is about to begin. Hey, everybody. You're watching Bull, Boom, Bear, Bust. It's Friday, May 28th, 2021. We're back with another dose of economic reality. All right, Bulls and Bears. So here's what's happening. We've got a big problem here. And we have now seen monthly rents take the biggest jump of all time. So rents, biggest jump of all time. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about some other concerning topics here, concerning items with the economy, the jobless numbers, the money manipulation, the rising prices, the materials and goods shortages, and a lot more information to get into. But let's go ahead and start right here. And this is out of apartmentlist.com. And this is titled Pandemic Pricing is Officially Over. So you see the trend here going back in rents. It usually dips in the winter months, surges up in the middle of the year, the summer months when most people move and relocate, things like that. The kids are out of school, etc. So summer is a very hot month. So typically we see in the summertime rents rise, and that's the dotted line, what typically happens. And this dotted line represents the trend from what we've witnessed here over the past few years. Now, of course, that didn't happen because the sickness was rolled out there in spring of 2020. So what actually happened was prices for rents declined. But look what has happened here recently. Prices have now surged, and this is an all-time increase in rents now year over year. And we're even above where the trend line is. So what would have happened, or what likely would have happened if it weren't for the great shutdown recession, right, the great sickness, would have been the dotted line. But what happened now is we've actually surpassed the annual trend of where rents typically would have fell, the cost of rents. Now, this is a problem. Why? Because there's still a lot of people not paying their rents, nearly 6 million households. Now, if you are a property owner, if you're a big corporate property owner, and you have thousands of rental homes in your portfolio, and let's say you have 10 or 20 or 30% of those that are not paying their rents, what are you going to do? Are you going to eat the losses and risk your business failing? Well, probably not. You're probably going to raise your rents on the people that are paying to make up for the people that are not paying. Now, a small landlord that just has one or two properties, they're likely not going to be able to do that, because if you have one renter that's paying and one that's not, you just have two renters, it's going to be hard to double the rent on the one that is paying to make up for the other one that is not paying, because you only have two properties. But if you have hundreds or thousands of units or apartments or homes, you're probably going to raise your rents on the other ones that are paying to make up for the ones that are not. So I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing this record rise in rents, right? So it's kind of like the people that work pay for the people that don't work, right? With all the payout programs, and they're going to raise your taxes and they're going to take more of your paycheck. Well, the people that are paying rents similarly are going to pay for the people that are not paying their rents, right? And I think that's a big part of the rising rents. Now, you also see inflation, so landlords, businesses are going to see higher costs. So even if it were not for the non-paying renter situation, you probably would have still seen rising rents simply because of the rising cost. For example, goods are being sold now at higher prices for several reasons. We have the supply chain disruptions. We have dozens of cargo ships off the coast because they're so backed up, because there's such a surge in demand, right? So we have that supply and demand imbalance, right? But this surge in rents here over the past few months, which is again record breaking, is starting to look parabolic. Now, how high will rents go? Will they double from here? I mean, nobody knows. But it has to get to a point where simply people cannot afford it. Now, that was what we thought back in the old days. People can't afford it, but we never knew the level of money printing and payouts. Will they double or triple the stimulus checks just so people can continue to pay these outrageous rents? Will it be monthly stimulus checks rolling out? Well, we know that parents starting in July are going to get monthly payouts based on the number of kids that they have at home. And we think that's just the tip of the iceberg, because there's no talk about controlling inflation. And in fact, they're going to let inflation run. And what the money printers do is they look at the CPI number, which is not a good way to really look at inflation. If nobody had to pay for housing or energy, automobile, gas, insurance, food. If nobody had to pay for all those things, then the CPI might be close to being accurate. But we know that it doesn't include those things. So the CPI number is basically a joke. Real inflation is between 10 and 20% a year if you look at everything that the average person has to pay out just to survive in the modern world. Now, of course, if you're living off grid and back in the woods somewhere, then of course that doesn't apply to you. But most people have some sort of overhead and costs. Even if you own your home, even if you've got it paid off, you still have taxes, which are rising, property taxes. And you're never really out of the woods, so to speak, unless you're living off grid. Even then, they're probably still going to try to get property taxes out of you. And those are probably rising no matter where you're at because of the rising home prices and property values. Right? So how much longer can people continue to pay these surging rents? We know that wages are not going up very much, not even close to keeping up with rising costs. But I guess it's okay because they can just extend the eviction moratorium indefinitely. And all the landlords and property owners, they can't get their properties taken because we've got a foreclosure moratorium. Maybe they'll just extend that indefinitely. So then it doesn't matter if they're not getting the rent from half the people because they can't get their home taken because of the foreclosure moratorium. So then they'll continue to raise rents on the people that are paying. And you see what I'm getting at here. So it's a very, very dire situation here for the people that are still paying. And if you're someone that still has a job, you're still working, I hope you're doing well. But guess what? You're going to be paying a lot higher out of your paycheck in the coming months and especially in the coming years. Now, let's take a look at something that's, in my opinion, pretty sickening. And we continue to see new all-time highs. We've got a 3-day winning streak now in most major indexes. We've got the Dow Jones at 34,529. Why? Because unemployment came in less than expected. New jobless filings came in less than expected. Let's take a look here. Recent CNBC article, jobless claims drop more than expected for a new pandemic low. On the surface, that seems like good news. Well, here's the reality of the situation. We're still more than double new jobless filings where we were pre-shutdown recession, right? Pre-great sickness. We're double. But in today's world, that's considered good news. Let's take a look at a chart here. And we see the most recent filing, 444,000 new jobless filings in 1 week. So multiply that by 4, we're still at about 1.6 million new jobless filings. Actually past 1.7 million if you really want to do the numbers closer. But look at pre-pandemic to where we are now. We're nowhere near being out of the woods. All right, but somehow this is good news for the markets. The markets continue to march upwards. And I fully expect to see more pain, more rising prices. If you are someone that is working and is paying for stuff, you are paying your rent, this may not be good news for you because things are going to get a lot more painful here very, very soon as far as the cost of living and these rising prices. All right, but it looks like there's going to be plenty of jobs out there. Here's out of Yahoo Finance. The dollar store says it's going to open over 1,000 new stores. All right, so plenty of jobs. Everybody can work at the dollar store and they can pay the rent with the salary that they're going to get working at the dollar store. I guess everything's going to be just fine. This seems like it's never going to end, these rising prices, right? Unless we see some sort of event, something to really pull the rug out from under this whole, the way the economy is being run, something that pulls the plug on the money printer. It's my fear, or it's what I'm preparing for, I should say, is some sort of blackout event. We're talking about a cyber attack that takes out the banks, that takes out the banking system. If that happens, you could see massive deflation, and even worse, you could see very dangerous situation arise very quickly. I think within just 24, probably less than 24 hours, you're going to see a Mad Max scenario if that were to happen. Look at all of the other cyber attacks that have been happening. We've been seeing it now with companies. We have a health provider out here called Sharp. Their whole systems got wiped out by what they were calling some ransomware attack. All right, we also see what happened along the southeast and the east coast here in the United States with the pipeline, the cyber attack there. They're going to try to swipe the money out of your account. They're going to take your savings. They're going to take your retirement. And there's going to be millions of people left with nothing when this situation comes up. Am I saying it's going to happen tomorrow? No, but I do expect things to get a lot more crazy than what we've even seen. And who would have predicted we would be right here right now? But we started telling you years ago that things are going to continue to get worse and get crazier. So continue to prepare, everybody. I hope you're doing good. We may see you out on the weekend here, Saturday or Sunday. We'll try to get a report out to you. But thanks to everyone for your support. Really appreciate you being here and helping this channel stay alive. I would appreciate it. Hope to hear from you down in comments on this one. Stay stacking, stay well, stay safe, everybody.